Hello, everyone. This is Rajiv Askhana from the Law Office of Rajiv Askhana PC, immigration.com. We are discussing with some of our clients the issue of what to do now that the H-1 quota has expired. What are my options? Well, we can look at the options two ways or three ways. Actually, there are several variables. Variable one, can I continue to work? And the answer is yes. If you have the STEM extension option, in this case, we are working towards the 17 months of the STEM extension anyway. What is STEM extension? Some people who are on F1 OPT can get further 17 months of OPT if they are in the discipline of science, T for STEM, S for science, T for technology, M for mathematics, and E for engineering. Any one of these disciplines, if you are in STEM, you can get a further 17-month extension. Okay? So can you continue to work? One way is STEM extension. If that's not an option, some people go back to school and they get something called CPT, Curricular Practical Training. That's an option I don't advise. Why? Because this option has come under the gun. USCIS has become very suspicious of it because the regulations say if somebody wants to get a CPT by going back to school in the first semester itself, then the curricular practical training, the CPT, must be integrally related to the education. In other words, you cannot really get a good education without that CPT. And because of the quote-unquote misuse or the perceived misuse that government sees, they have come down hard upon universities that have been giving CPTs too liberally. So CPT has become a suspect option unless you are going to go join a university that's well recognized, a good university, good school, fully accredited. And I actually have a video on our website and our blogs about how to see if your school is accredited. So if you go to my blog on immigration.com, you will see an entry about how to figure out if the school is accredited. So 17-month STEM extension, CPT, not recommended but possible. You can, of course, go back to school and stay until you're ready to file for the H-1 again. If you have an option, for example, if your spouse is on H-1, you can convert to H-4 or L-2 if your spouse is on L-1. That would be another option. One option is to go back to your home country. If the work can be outsourced to you, it is perfectly legal for you to work for your employer from your home country, and they can pay you either on as an independent contractor or on a project basis or even as an employee. You can work out the details with your CPAs, but that is certainly a possibility. Okay. Now, the last option that I see is there is a very fine distinction between what jobs are quota and what jobs are quota exempt. Interesting thing is, the way the government looks at it is, even though the employer is quota employer, but if the job is quota exempt, you are not subject to the quota. For example, let's take an example of a quota exempt job. If you are working for a university in a research position or any academic position, you are quota exempt. But what if your employer places you to work in a university research facility? Because the job is quota exempt, that H-1 will be quota exempt, even though your employer is a under quota employer. So look for a job that is quota exempt. That's another possibility. Those are the options as I see them. Folks, you have any questions or comments? Anna, did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so, Rajesh.
Okay. Madam Client, you have any questions?
No questions, but I do have the beneficiary here.
Okay. This call is being recorded, so you may want to keep your identity confidential. Did you hear the 4 options I mentioned?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Please go ahead.
Actually, I heard that there is a Singapore quota on H-1s, and sometimes when it not got filled up, so they shifted that quota to a regular H-1. So is that an option for us?
No, it is not an option. Anna, do you recall what they do with the Singapore quota? I think they keep it open all the way to October, right?
Yes, they keep it open right through. And then if it's carried over, they will issue a notice.
Yeah. So at the moment, that's not an option, sir.
And Rajiv, how do we know if a beneficiary, or how do they go about applying for the STEM extension?
The way it works is the company that you are working for has to agree to be E-Verify compliant. What that means is they open an account with a government office for being an E-Verify company. You sign a bunch of contracts with them and you say, every person that we hire, we will run them through the E-Verify program, which is basically a way of ensuring that they have proper authorization to work in the U.S. For the larger companies like your company, I would probably be reluctant to go E-Verify, especially if you are a multi-site company that has its own problems. So we need to assess that very carefully. For smaller companies and one-site companies, it's much easier to go through E-Verify. It's not a problem. Okay, so E-Verify basically involves agreeing to go through verification of every employee you hire from now on. You have to put them through the E-Verify database. Okay, does that answer your question?
It does. I just want to make sure, if our company is an E-Verify employer, does that mean that our beneficiary can go back to his school and apply for the STEM extension?
To get STEM extension, they do not have to go back to school.
They have to notify their school office?
That's right. All they do is they go back to the school and the school issues some new paperwork based upon their existing paperwork. They don't have to go back to school.
Well, in that case, I guess we need to take classes again, right?
You don't need to take classes again, no, sir.
Rajiv, he has already received his 17-month STEM extension.
Now, sir, you already have received your 17-month extension. So for you, there is no way to get any more extensions. What I mentioned to you was the possibility of a CPT. That's what you're thinking of taking classes again.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Anything else, folks?
Can you provide your expert opinion on what option we should provide our beneficiary at this point?
I don't know. It depends upon whether the option of working from his home country is available. That appears to be a very good option. But if he wants to stay in USA, he will have to look at either going back to school or converting to a spousal visa. One more question that people have asked me, is it okay for me to volunteer? What if I want to work but I don't want to get paid for it? I don't want to lose all this experience I have. And the answer is that's risky. However, the way it works is, if a person volunteers, let's say somebody is on H-4, they go for work, but they neither expect to be paid nor do they have any benefits coming to them, for example, health insurance, then it is okay to volunteer. All right? So going back to the question that you had originally asked, what do I recommend? There really isn't much. Unless we have a quota-exempt job, which I know your company, I know very well, we know that we don't have a quota-exempt job available. The only possibility I see is to outsource the work to your home country and work from there if that's a possibility. Otherwise, wait for the next year's quota to come around.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All righty. Sir, any questions before we hang up?
That's all. Thank you.
Feel free to call me back if anything should keep you awake. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.